Too Close to Call is a sports talk radio show brought to you by Kevin Mahalik, featuring commentary on the week's biggest sports news and events and engaging behind-the-scenes player interviews. While specializing in Philadelphia sports, Too Close to Call will also discuss issues and events happening on a national scale. Too Close to Call airs Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. We're just going to let Rick Roll play here for a minute or two because listening to this over and over and over again may sound like torture, but I think it's going to be a better use of the next 25 minutes than talking about those Philadelphia Eagles. So just enjoy here for a brief minute. You remember that back in, what was it, the 2000s, where you used to like click the email and this would pop up and it would take you to a website. You would get Rick Roll. It would just play over and over and over. You could never get out of it. Once again, that's how Sunday felt. It felt like you got lost in a screen and all of a sudden everything was just spinning for the worse. The avalanche was coming and it was getting worse and worse out there. But thanks for joining me, everybody. It's a little bit past 1 o'clock here on Tuesday, November 26th. This is Too Close to Call Sports, the sports talk radio show here on Usala Media and Usala Radio. I'm your host, as always, Kevin Mahalik. Thanks again for tuning in here for these next, 20 minutes or so. Like I mentioned, we are going to talk Philadelphia Eagles. We are going to talk football. However, we're not going to go all the way down the rabbit hole. I'm not going to make this a negative 20 minutes. I'm not going to make this, bashing Carson Wentz, because that's one thing I am excited about and happy with, that I am in this profession now. And I can actually dive into some of these game films, rewatch some of the information, because for those people who watch just on Sunday from 1 to 4, and, myself included in the moment, was extremely, extremely unhappy with Carson Wentz and everything that happened on Sunday. It looked like he was missing receivers left and right. He wasn't making the right reads. He was fumbling the football 6 times. And yes, the majority of that is true, okay? He did miss a lot of receivers, fumbling the football, but the amount of blame I'm putting directly on Carson Wentz has gotten, a little bit less over the last 24 to 48 hours after you watch the film and break some things down. And let me explain to you guys out there why exactly I'm feeling like this. Because Dan Orlovsky, an ESPN personality, put out a tweet, I think it was late last night or kind of early this morning, that detailed some of the things that I had seen when watching the film. And he was talking about just some of the small details that happened from the wide receiver, tight end, basically the pass catcher position in some of these plays. And 3 of them in particular off the top of my head I'm thinking of right away. Or there were 2 to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Or no, it was 1 to J.J. And 2 to Greg Ward. But 1 to JJ was the 4th and 2, where Carson kind of pump fake, threw off his back foot like out to the side, and he ended up missing him a little bit inside. But I was watching the film, as well as Bryce Trigg, if you Eagles fans remember that name out there, one of the speedy receivers in the past who was kind of up and down, big Chip Kelly type era guy. So he tweeted out that on this crossing route on 4th and short, you're supposed to sit down if it's zone coverage. So essentially, if it's man-to-man, you continue running because the guy's coming with you. But if it's zone, where they're set up, every 10 yards wide, you basically need to pick a window to sit down in between. And you're supposed to sit down 2 yards outside of the far hash mark. So the 2 hash marks that run down the field, essentially you cross. And when you get to the second hash mark, you're supposed to sit down 2 yards outside of that hash. Well, when you watch JJ, when the ball's released, he's 2 yards outside of the hash mark. But while the ball's in the air, he takes an additional hop that moves him further outside. And when he moves outside, then all of a sudden the ball is inside to where he dives back and it gets broken up by the guy coming inside, as to where if he was where he originally should be, it would have been right at his chest and his helmet, and he could have bodied up the defender and made the catch. And then there was another route on, I think, 3rd and 5, where basically you're running a comeback route. So you run to 6 yards and you come back to 5 because you need to work back to the football to not allow the defender to come around you. So you get a little bit further depth and then you work back to the down and distance mark. So basically you should have gone to 6, worked to 5. Well, Greg Ward gets to like 7 and works back to like 6.5. And because of this, Wentz's pass looks like it's thrown directly at his feet because Wentz is throwing it to that 5-yard distance. This is where you're supposed to be. Well, you're at 7 instead of 5. All of a sudden, the ball is at your feet instead of your waist. So once again, your average fan goes, oh my God, Wentz was terrible. He threw that right at his feet. Well, no, actually, the receiver ran the route to the wrong distance, the wrong depth. And then the last one, yes, it was JJ for a second time, but he won on a slant route. And when you win on a slant route inside, that means the defender's on your backside behind you. You need to come down parallel with the line of scrimmage. That way the defender can't work underneath you to cut the ball off. Well, JJ starts leaking a little bit, continues to get vertical. All of a sudden, this guy who was parallel with him now is able to sneak underneath him, breaks the ball up. Incomplete pass. Once again, it looks like, oh man, Wentz, what the heck's he doing? Well, if JJ works parallel down right with the first down marker, he probably catches that ball because he's able to get in the way. So it's a combination of everybody. The pass catchers, Carson Wentz, the offensive line. Let's go right into the offensive line. Talk about them and their shortcomings that were, first of all, Lane Johnson. He was out with the concussion. We talked about that. I didn't think he'd make it back. This is his second or third in 5 years. So even if you could, give yourself a week, man. Take some time. Just don't push it for the headaches. It ain't worth it to be, win 1 week in the NFL to have all of that other stuff come behind the scenes and whatnot. So take your time. But another thing I shared last week or the week before was talking about how Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson are almost one and the same when it comes to kind of their anxiety, not feeling well before the game, vomiting almost at the same time. If you remember me telling that story, them vomiting in the middle of the night. Well, I don't know if it is because of this. I'm saying it is. So, Lane Johnson's out. All of a sudden, Brandon Brooks can only play 2 series because he can't control his anxiety. And I certainly feel as if, though, Lane Johnson is that sounding board and that guy that Brooks has been able to look to and basically help him calm his anxiety. So I feel like when Brooks kind of gets to that mental freak out point, he's able to look at Lane and be like, dude, I'm losing it. And Lane can be like, you're cool, breathe, do whatever you have to do. Whatever he tells him, tells a joke, whatever. But because he wasn't there, Brandon wasn't able to kind of control that avalanche, that snowball, and just kind of lost the battle to the anxiety attacks in that way. So with them two being a package, Teal, that's tough because, when they play, they're the best right side of the NFL line in football. Like the best right side, the best guard, the best tackle, the best combo. And if you're without both of them, you go almost to the worst right side in football. And we saw that in the first half with Dillard trying to play right tackle. Then they put Big V at guard because those are your top 2 backup linemen, regardless of position. But that clearly didn't work. Dillard on the right side trying to do something he hasn't done ever. I mean, in college, he was a left tackle for years and years and years. He's been training at left tackle, and all of a sudden, we're just going to throw him to the right side and expect he's going to be able to do it when he's been okay at left tackle. Yeah, he's been good. I mean, he hasn't been outstanding. That's why Peters went back in when he got healthy. But I get the thinking there. Obviously, it didn't work. He couldn't plan himself. He couldn't stop anybody. So they moved Big V out there, who has played the position. And then they put Pryor in, who has played guard. And things kind of stabilized in the second half. But Carson Wentz has to know this going in, that, hey, the right side here could be a little bit leaky because Big V ain't the best lineman, and neither is Dillard, and those two are on the same side. So you got to understand this is probably the area where Seattle's going to attack. They're going to overload that side, maybe bring a blitz or two. I got to get rid of the football because I'm not going to have the normal amount of time to go through my progressions and my reads. And, this takes me to my kind of final thought wrap up here of Seattle as I'm navigating through this, 20-minute rant, so to speak here. But for the Eagles to be the most successful in 2019, so I'm not talking future, I'm not talking past, overall, for the 2019 version of the Philadelphia Eagles to be the most successful, Carson Wentz needs to change his identity as a player. And what I mean by that, and kind of the easiest way I was thinking about breaking this down for you, is each play typically has a good, better, best option offensively. Whether, if you look to the one side, the guy running the go route, if nobody covers him, obviously throw him the ball. That's the best. The next one is, probably 15 to 20 underneath him. If nobody covers him, take him. 10 yards in, 10 yard out, take him. That's better. And then good would be the running back in the flat or the tight end crossing route, or, so good, better, best. Think of it that way, right? And what's happening right now is Carson Wentz, his personality, the way he's played the game, the way he's always played the game, is he's a little bit of a gambler. He's a risky player. And I don't even talk about risky or gambling as in the fact that he's putting the ball in harm's way. I'm talking about it in a way that he is passing up good right away for the opportunity that better may become available. So stay with me here as I kind of continue to tell you this. But so basically, because I was watching film and he's looking at Miles Sanders or he's looking at Ertz right away and he's not throwing the ball to them even though they're open. And I did some research, talked to some sources, some former college quarterbacks, some current college coaches, and kind of saying, hey, why would they do this? Why would they look at somebody who's open and just not throw them the ball? And basically their explanation was that they're using their eyes to manipulate the defense, hoping that, basically they're not taking that whether he's open or not. They're looking over here to move a defender to hopefully come back behind him on the other side. So, okay, I understand that. But here's kind of my thinking and what I'm getting at with Carson is that if you look at good and you have no intentions of taking it because you want to be a little bit risky, you want to gamble a little bit, that better may become available. Well, better's further down the field, so better takes longer to develop. So you have to hold on to the football longer. And what's happening is the rest of the team and the talent on the roster is not good enough or not talented enough for better to become open more often than not. So yes, if you have Alshon Jeffrey or you have Deshaun Jackson and you have that type of talent, better typically is going to be available. But when you have Jordan Matthews running these routes and Greg Ward, who was on the practice squad, you need to take the good when it's there, because what's happening is he's going good. Okay, I don't want that. Let me check better. Better's not available. Okay, I'll go back to good. Well, good is now just okay or even bad because that linebacker who's covering the person in the flat is now there and they don't have space. So instead of what would be a 3-yard gain, turns into a 0-yard gain because they're tackled right away. And what he needs to do, and this is why I say change his identity, because he's always been the guy to push the ball downfield, extend the play, try to force it into tight windows. And he's been good at that in the past when talent's been around him. But for this specific version, again, just 2019, I'm not saying next year, I'm not saying for him to have a successful career. I'm saying for the Philadelphia Eagles to win the next 5 football games, I need Carson Wentz to take good whenever it's there. I don't care if best becomes available because it's been becoming available 1 out of 10 times. So I don't need you checking every time. I need you taking good. And if that leads to 3 completions for a total of 9 yards and you punt the football because it's 4th and 1, that's fine. Our defense is playing good enough to do this. We just can't turn the ball over, okay? Because also when you do this, Carson, you start to feel good about yourself. Why is that? Well, you got 3 straight completions, man. You're in a rhythm. You're feeling good. You're finding the open receiver. Oh, guess what? You just threw it to maybe 2, 3 different receivers. Well, all your pass catchers are feeling good now because they touched the ball. They touched the ball early in the game. They're feeling involved. They're in the game plan. Okay, let's roll. Let's do this, right? Oh, and the offensive line as a unit, they start to feel better about themselves because they've just blocked, well, quote unquote. Maybe it wasn't even that well, but it took you a second and a half to get rid of the football so you didn't get sacked. So it's a quote unquote positive play for that group as well. So even if you go 3 and out, you walk off the field, you're feeling good, Carson, because you just completed 3 in a row. Your running backs, tight ends, receivers are feeling good because they're involved in the offense, and the offensive line's going, hey, we did our job. It's not our fault we didn't get the first down. We're good. Let's just keep rolling. So it's the little things that kind of get the momentum going as an offense that this team just hasn't been able to do and certainly wasn't able to do on Sunday. So, Carson, end of the day, I need you to check the ball down right away. I don't need better, okay? I don't even need best. I just good. We need to be good. We need to be good because then you start to feel good. Then you start to get confidence. Then things start rolling. Oh, by the way, all of a sudden then you fake the quick pass and you go downtown because everybody's creeping up because you're getting rid of the ball quickly. It starts to compound on itself. And it's just one of those things where we need to go back to the drawing board, Doug. You need to tell Carson, listen, if that first read's there, I don't care if this second read should be there and it's for more yards. Take number one. Complete the pass. Feel good about yourself. Just get things going in a positive direction because really that's what you need. And I laugh once again, guys. I told you this. They were going to dump these. They needed to go 2-4 during that 6-game stretch. Worst case scenario. Well, they went 2-4. So that's what I said. Hey, win out, you're still in. You control your own destiny. We talked about how if Dallas loses to New England, even if you lose, if you win out, you're good. You got the tiebreakers, man. That's unbelievable. We've lost to Dallas. We haven't done anything anywhere else, and we have all the tiebreakers. All right, I guess we would have all the tiebreakers. Currently, we do not because Dallas has played more divisional games, blah, blah, blah. We have 3 of them coming up. But if you win those games, you would have the tiebreaker. So they could win out. They could go 10-6. There's a very slim chance that they could still win it at 9-7, even if Dallas beats them. Dallas would have to lose their next 3, which is possible, not probable, but possible. They got the Bills, the Bears, and somebody else who's not half bad. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they got a chance to lose those games. But either way, the Birds got to start winning, and that starts this weekend down in Miami. Obviously playing the 2-9 Dolphins, but they're not tanking. Everybody's saying they're tanking, they're trying. I don't know. Flores has them playing down there. They're giving quality effort. I know they got beat up by the Browns this past weekend. It's not an effort thing, guys. It's a talent thing. So I don't know if that's good or bad, better or worse if you're a Dolphins fan, but basically you're not going to see people roll over this Sunday watching this football game. The Eagles are going to have to win this game. Now, they should, can, will, would, whatever you want to use, win this game, but just showing up and getting out of bed isn't going to do it. So look for the offense to get a little bit healthier. Lane Johnson seems to be returning. Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar potentially on the outside. It's one of those things where just looking at it, they're 2-9, guys. I mean, come on. I think it's 9.5 for the Birds as favorites here. If I'm scrolling, let me check my notes. I think I wrote it down. Was 9. Let's see, updated. I didn't check today. So it was 9. But either way, 9 points, guys. You just got to win by 1. Let's go. We're not talking cover here. We're just talking win the football game, get to 6-6, feel good about yourselves. You'll know at that point because once again here, it is Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving this Thursday. Hopefully everybody out there is ready to go. They got their birds, their turkeys, their deep frying. Hey, don't burn the house down, deep frying turkeys out there, okay? First and foremost. Don't be burning houses down. Go outside. I think that's the deal, right? Don't be in the basement. Don't be in the garage. First of all, I don't even do that because I would burn the house down. I don't trust myself. That shit would be all over, just the oil everywhere. So, but they play Turkey Day. Your standard Dallas Cowboys 425 background noise for dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. They got the Buffalo Bills, and if there's one thing we know, it's nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. And I was talking to a buddy who's actually from the Buffalo area saying, hey, we need you this weekend. And he goes, dude, it's time for payback for all those Super Bowls from 93 to 96. And I started laughing. I said, yeah, if you can't get motivated for, a comeback 25 years later, the revenge tour after it happened, that's what we're looking at. But Dallas is a 7-point favorite. I don't know, man. The Bills are 8-3. I know the Eagles went up there, beat them pretty good. Dallas probably should do the same, but they've been struggling to score points. So we shall see. So, but yeah, like I said, we'll know Sunday if Dallas wins or loses. Obviously, they dump one, we win one, we're tied again, and we're coming down the stretch, feeling good about ourselves. But let's see here. A few minutes here, I'll wrap up this first segment with the Birds. I'm just going to check my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see. Dillard talked about Lane Johnson. Oh, Mr. Epps, the safety. They signed off the practice squad. The reason they cut Andrew Sendejo, I just put a little note here. He played 17 snaps in their dime package, which means they had 6 defensive backs on the field. The only reason I thought that was newsworthy is because Mr. Sidney Jones played 0 snaps healthy scratch, can't get on the field. So my guy who I said cut, that's pretty much what they've done. He's buried. He can't even get on. There's, a guy they signed a week ago is playing 17, and he's not playing any. But Sanders Ajayi, welcome back, Jay Ajayi. He did just fine, didn't play a ton of snaps. Nothing you can expect there. But really, that's it, guys. That'll wrap up the first segment here for Too Close to Call Sports. We were talking Philadelphia Eagles once again. They got their butts kicked pretty good by Seattle. We saw why Russell Wilson is indeed one of the MVP favorites, and it could have been worse. They had one drop touchdown, and then, hey, Russell did miss the one guy in the end zone wide open on third down the one time as well. So it certainly could have been a little bit worse, but the defense keeping us in the game. Going to Miami, it's going to be warm. Got to feel good about yourself. All the Birds got to do is stay off South Beach, stay out of the Lit. I think that's the nightclub down there. I've been in Lit. I went down for Ultra a few years ago. Had a good time down there on the main strip. So I could certainly see how you could get in trouble as an NFL player in cities like that. But that wraps it up. NFL talk. The Birds at 5-6. Hopefully they'll be bouncing back here as we move into December through the holidays. But for right now, we're going to take a brief pause for a word from one of our sponsors. You got to pay the bills, guys. That's half the battle out here. But hang with us for just a moment. We'll be back on the other side talking some national headlines, running through some things, and some more quality convo. Appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you soon.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I'm just gonna tell you how I'm feeling. Oh, we're live? Oh, crap. Oh, sorry about that, everybody out there. No, I'm kidding. I knew we were live. I just wanted you to hear my beautiful singing voice. That's what's going on. But welcome back to Close to Call Sports here on Usala Media, Usala Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. I appreciate you guys tuning in as we are half past the hour here, coming up on 1:30, Tuesday, November 26th. The week of Thanksgiving. I don't know, Dylan. It's this late Thanksgiving throws me off a little bit. Usually it's this past Thursday because I started getting the itch this weekend for some, holiday music, some Christmas music, kind of getting out the decor. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not trying to disrespect Thanksgiving here by just jumping it, going right to Christmas like some of these other people out here, the Home Depots and the malls got the reindeers and the Santas up already. I'm saying, hey, give Mr. Turkey his time, all right? Let's not disrespect gobble gobble here. But I don't know. It's an extra week, so enjoy yourselves out there. And then it's 60 degrees outside, so I don't even know what the heck's going on. I'm in the holiday spirit, and yet I'm sweating walking to work today. But let's see. This is the second segment, Too Close to Call. This is where we kind of dive around the national news stories, give you a little half-hour headline. How about that working out today right here at about 1:30, the half-hour headline for Too Close to Call. But talking NFL, National Football League this past week, we thought we had two really good games on the schedule, and we had two blowouts. Holy moly. Lamar Jackson, first of all, last night on Monday Night Football. How dare you ever not think Lamar Jackson was going to be good at football? Shame on you. I'm talking to myself, by the way. I didn't think he was going to be any good. But my God, this kid is unbelievable. 5 touchdowns on Monday Night Football, the first to ever do it in his debut, I believe, was what the word was coming out of there. I mean, this guy cost me money by himself. I took the Ravens in the under. Well, the under was 49. I didn't think the Ravens would score 35. I had the Rams scoring 6. I was on that one. I was like, oh, yeah, they stink. They can't score. The Ravens, yeah, they'll score, but not 5 times. Can't you just score 3 times, 4 times? What the heck, man? But super impressive. And then next week, they actually play the other team who was going to be in a good game. Niners-Packers got flexed to Sunday night, 9-1 versus 8-2. Well, the Niners said, hey, thanks for coming, Aaron Rodgers. We'll see you. Well, enjoy this L on your way home. We appreciate it. 37-8. Super impressive for the Niners, man. It's wild. I didn't see that one coming 10-1. But like I said, Ravens-Niners tee it off in what could be a Super Bowl preview. Wasn't that the Super Bowl years ago, the Harbaugh brothers? Man, it's crazy how the NFL is just a cyclical world. Like just up, down, up, down. You know, you're good, you rebuild, you're good. Well, hey, Baltimore's back, San Fran's back. Make a couple quality decisions at the quarterback position, get some quality defenses that just tear apart, and voila, you're good at football. It's not hard. It's not a hard equation. Get a good quarterback, good defense, put some talent around them. Bada bing, bada boom. You got yourself a W. But let's see. Moving into next week as well. Or no, let's touch on this past week one more time. Let's have some fun here because the Dallas Cowboys are not very good. Yeah. No, seriously, though. 13-9. 9 points. See, we thought Philly's offense stank. At least they scored 10 on New England there because Dallas on paper is unbelievably good. That's the difference between the Eagles and Cowboys right now. Is the Eagles on paper stink. Dallas on paper is loaded. I mean, they got a quarterback who's good. Well, you know, we can argue how good, but he's a good quarterback. They got the top-paid running back in Elliott. They got a top-paid receiver in Cooper. They got a top-paid left tackle. They got a top-paid center. They got a top-paid linebacker, a top-paid D-tackle. These guys are all studs. And if you got the horses, that leaves one dude. That's the coach. Apparently, he ain't coaching. He ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing, not putting him in the right position because this roster on paper screams Super Bowl contender. So Jerry Jones coming out saying, I should not be this frustrated with this roster. I don't know what's going on down there. I do, Jerry. Your coach blows. It's not hard to figure out, man. I know you can't come out and say that, but I'll do it for you. Jason Garrett, he stinks. Oh, get rid of him. But at the same time, maybe he can come to Philly and be the OC next year because Mike Groh's just as bad. I don't know. Just a little tidbit there. That's the disclaimer, just like, all the medicine at the end. Disclaimer is that you could have diarrhea. So let's see. Moving around. Thanksgiving football. We talked about Dallas. A couple other games there. Nothing that really matters to us. A few other good games coming up Sunday. Patriots-Texans. That's a nice little AFC preview there for the Texans and the Pats. They got some good mojo coming that way. And then the Vikings-Seahawks. Now, the reason this matters, Eagles fans, is because if the Eagles do what I said they were going to do and what we all think they're going to do and win the NFC East, 9-7, 10-6, probably put you at the 4 spot. The way these other divisions are, kind of cruising out, you're going to be the 4 spot, which means you play the 5. That is your first wild card team. Your 2 wild card teams right now, Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings. We lost to both of them. So what? The question is, which one do we want to play? Because Monday Night Football, Vikings versus Seahawks. And they have a 1-game difference, so the winner will obviously be either tied or 1 game up on the other, but will have the tiebreaker. So certainly could come down to both of these teams finishing 11-5 or 12-4, depending on which one wins it. But Seattle at 9-2, Minnesota at 8-3. Honestly, I think I'm going to root for the Vikings just because it's as elementary as you want to play the worst quarterback when it comes playoff time. If you get a 1-game playoff, I don't want to see Russell Wilson. I don't care how bad the rest of the team is. Give me Kirk Cousins in Philly. If he lights it up here like he did, a few weeks back in Minnesota, so be it. I'll shake his hand, but I don't think he's got it in him. So go Vikings, bring them back to town. Let's have ourselves some fun. Let's just make it into the dance. But cruising around here, NCAA football, it is officially rivalry week, the last regular season in college football. That's wild how that happens already. I've been talking to you guys since, August? 2-3 months now? Whew, it goes by quick, man. Are you kidding me? But a couple of the big games this weekend. There's about 4 of them on the schedule, 3 to 4. I mean, you have your typical rivalries. So they're fantastic all over. Your Oregon States, the Civil War. You got the Egg Bowl Thursday night, Mississippi State. You got all these other names kind of going here. But the biggest game, or one of the 2 biggest games, but the biggest game to me is at noon. We got Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State comes in after beating Penn State last week. They did not cover the 18.5. We talked about that insane number, 18.5. Well, you know what? I decided to put my money where my mouth mouth is, I got my money on my mind and my mind on my money. And I won money last weekend because Penn State covered. Oh, yeah. Ohio State turned the ball over 3 straight times, basically gift-wrapped Penn State 17 points and gift-wrapped me about $40. So thank you, Buckeyes. But the reason I say that this weekend, it's only 8 with Michigan. I don't know. 18-8. I get there on the road. Michigan's lower ranked than Penn State was. So, oh, God, I'm thinking you take Ohio State in the 8 because last year was supposed to be the year Michigan was going to beat them, and they lost, 62-24 or something like that? They couldn't cover anybody. So Michigan's been looking forward to this Saturday for 360 days or whatever the heck it's been now exactly, 5 days till Saturday, whatever that math is. But, oh, boy, I don't know. I don't think they do it. But once again, if there's a time, they're at home. Shea Patterson's been playing well. Michigan's been playing their best football of the year. But so is Ohio State. I mean, they haven't lost, and they beat the number 9 team by 14. Oh, how dare you only win by 2 touchdowns. Like, what are we talking about here? So, Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia, Georgia Tech, those are your top teams. And then you get to the next biggest matchup, which I spoke of, the Iron Bowl, obviously. Alabama, Auburn. This one's going to be at Auburn. Alabama's favored by 3.5. No Tua. No Tua. Oh, man. What does that do for Alabama? I don't know. This backup guy, I forget his name off the top of my head. He's been good, though. And honestly, guys, when you say, oh, my God, it's not Tua, what are they going to do? What do you think this backup guy's like a non-scholarship player, a 3-star kid? No, it's Alabama. He's probably a 4-star, number 1 ranked quarterback in the state somewhere, just waiting his turn. It's kind of like Ohio State. Oh, this guy moved on. Was Dwayne Haskins any good? Yeah, Dwayne Haskins was the number 10 overall pick in the NFL. Oh, is Justin Fields any good? Yeah, Justin Fields is probably going to play in the NFL. Like, come on, they're just churning people out here. So don't give me this. Oh, it's a backup. Yeah, maybe he's a point or 2 less than Tua. Maybe he wasn't going to go 1 overall. Maybe he goes like 30th. What are we talking about? But Auburn, obviously, at 8-3, a little bit of a down year, but the schedule in the SEC is just crazy. So I give Auburn a shot in this game. I think, a few trick plays, something could happen. They got nothing to lose, so you might as well throw everything at them, see what the heck happens here. And another kickoff at 3:30 on ABC, not CBS, that we're watching here, is Wisconsin, Minnesota. And the reason you got to check this one out is because it's basically the de facto Big Ten West championship matchup. You got number 12 Wisconsin and number 10 Minnesota. We'll see where they end up on the college football playoff polls or the actual rankings that come out tonight at 8 o'clock. But if Minnesota wins out, they're still staring at it right there, looking at that playoff bid. I mean, they're number 10. If they get a quality win over number 12, they would then face Ohio State, who probably beats Michigan again. And if they beat Ohio State, I don't know how you're keeping the Gophers out of the playoff. That's something to watch. I don't anticipate them doing what I just said they would do, but we shall see. Well, who knows? And then LSU, A&M. How about A&M's schedule, guys? Just real quick. I just want to click on them and make sure I get this right. But out of conference, their SEC to ACC game was Clemson. So they played number 1 Alabama. They lost. They played number 1 Clemson at the time. So 2 number 1s lost 24-10. They lost to number 8 Auburn. And then they lost to number 4 Georgia, and then they get number 1 LSU. So how about that? 3 different times this year they played the number 1 ranked team, and all these teams are number 2 and number 3 now. But that's wild. I don't know if any team's ever played 3 number 1s in the same season. Hey, you Schwammies out there who are checking out the internet and are good at that stuff, let me know what the almanac says if another squad's ever played 3. I'd be very, very curious if that was the case for sure. So we'll see. Talking about the rankings, wrapping up college football, the Pac-12, unfortunately, they may have been eliminated with Oregon. Oregon losing. The Utah-Oregon, they were trying to play that as a play-in game, but even with Oregon losing, if Utah beats them now, it doesn't look as good of a quality win as it did before. So, that hurts them in the standings. Oklahoma's going to get a ranked victory over Oklahoma State, most likely this weekend. Then they're going to get another ranked team in Baylor for a rematch next week. If they win both those games, are they more impressive than a Utah or Oklahoma better than a one-loss Alabama who didn't win any conference title games? We're going to have some fun conversation coming up here over the next couple of weeks. That's for dang sure, as these games play themselves out, both on on the field and in the conference championship games is what I meant to say, regular season and conference championship games. But real quickly here, wrapping up, bouncing around in the National Basketball Association, the Lakers and LeBron, they continue to roll. Pretty crazy what they've been doing out there. The turnaround they've had from one year to the next is excellent. LeBron basically, he took a year off. He was like, dude, I need a redshirt year. I've been playing like 18 years. I'm going to drink some wine. I'm going to have some fun. We're not going to be great. We'll get a good draft pick. We'll get AD, and voila. 15-2. That's wild, man. 15-2. What is that? Times 4, 60-8. Whew. Jeez, that's a good squad. So we'll see if they can keep that up. The Dallas Mavericks. If you guys aren't watching Luka Doncic out there on a regular basis, a 19 or 20-year-old Luka from overseas, number 3 overall pick, this dude is lighting it up. Oh, my God. I think he had 40, 12 and 10 for a triple-double last week. It's been pretty insane how impressive he's been, this year to start. Obviously, Porzingis coming back for them, but Doncic is a star, not just like good. He is the real deal, could be like generational Ben Simmons type of transcendent star. It's crazy what the heck he's doing. But the West is still loaded, obviously. Carmelo Anthony, he went back to the Trailblazers, so, he gets another run. Good for him. He had 25 last night, I think it was, or 2 nights ago. I was happy to see that, but... that really wraps things up. College basketball, there's been a few more upsets. It's still early, though. They're not in conference play, so not a lot of quality matchups. The NHL, the Islanders had a 17-game point streak, one of their best in franchise history. That's worth mentioning here. So all you Islanders fans can stay out of my mentions this week. No, I'm kidding. Nobody really did that because there are no Islanders fans. But either way, 17 in a row is impressive. So that'll wrap up the half-hour headlines here. A quick 10-minute shout-out to what's going on across the country in sports. Obviously, we're Philly-centric, but I like to keep you guys updated on what's going on out there. So, once again, this is Kevin Mahalik with Usala Media, Usala Radio, Too Close to Call Sports, your Philly sports talk radio show here. Pause one more time for one word from our sponsor, and on the flip side, we'll be talking Sixers, Flyers, and we'll send you guys into the rest of your Tuesday. Hang with us one more time here.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome back, everybody, here to the last segment of Too Close to Call Sports here on Usala Media and Usala Radio. It is about 1:45, Tuesday, November 26th. Thanks again for joining in. And do me a favor out there, everybody, if you're listening right now. Pick up the phone, call your aunties, mothers, uncles, sisters, brothers, cousins, nephew. Say, hey, Happy Thanksgiving. Haven't talked to you in a while. And oh, by the way, did you see that Ben Simmons made a three-pointer? Oh, let's go. It happened. Woo! Ben listens to the show. Either him or Brett Brown does because they set him up for the corner three. Tell him, call your family. Say, did you see it? The world's ending. The apocalypse, I told you. Ben Simmons made a three. Hell has frozen over. Nobody, it's crazy. Just unbelievable. I was so happy when it happened. Just the fact that he shot the ball. It didn't even have to go in. It didn't even have to go in for me to be happy. I was just smiling in my chair when the ball was in the air. And when it went in, I just put my hands up and I think I started giggling. Turned me into a 10-year-old boy watching Ben Simmons actually attempt a three-pointer. That's what's going on here in Philly sports. I'm literally trying to get my players to develop and become better basketball players. And when they actually do it, I feel like that parent watching their child, on television. Oh my God, honey, did you see it? Ben actually shot a three and it went in. All that practice and all that times I've been yelling at him. It actually worked. It's just, it was excellent. It was excellent. I'm so happy for him. And I mean, dude, if you're a human, do it again. How cool was that reaction? People love you. People are going nuts, dude. You ruled the internet. You were the meme queen. King, whatever you identify as. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect anybody anymore. But it's just, man, just shoot the ball. Like, if I'm that guy going, dude, that was awesome. They all went nuts. I'm doing that again. Like, why wouldn't you? That's got to be a good feeling. So, Ben, you shot it. You made it. Congratulations. That 0 is out of the column. But keep doing it, man. Just keep going for it. So, they beat the Knicks. That game happened on Wednesday. That was the did Ben Simmons make a three? Yeah, he did. He did against the Knicks. They win 109-104. Mike Scott actually was the guy of the game there in the fourth quarter. I wrote down him and James Ennis. Is it James Ennis? Yeah, it was Ennis. James Ennis. They went 6 of 9 combined from three-point land. They were really the only shooters that day that hung it on them. So Mike Scott, good for you, man. The Beehive, the Scott Hive or whatever it is. If you got the emoji tattoos and all that stuff, if you've seen them, it's hilarious. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but if you want to get emojis tattooed on you, you do you, okay? You do you. So, Sixers, then they coast against the Spurs. They got a game Friday. They win 115-104. Greg Popovich. Dude, I love Greg Popovich. I love him when he comes to town. I don't know if I'd like him as my coach anymore because the guy's a little bit of an a-hole. But when he's talking about Brett Brown and they ask him about Brett, hey, he's on the hot seat. People aren't happy around here. And he just looks at him and he's like, fans have no idea what they're talking about. They're so stupid. I'm just like, oh, yes, this guy. That's what happens when you make the playoffs 21 straight years. You can say whatever you want, but he's obviously a big Brett Brown guy. That's the coaching tree he came from. He was with Pop for 10, 15 years, so he certainly knows, and he's high on him. And obviously, you got to respect Pop, USA basketball, Spurs, yada, yada, yada. Knows what he's talking about. But tough year for the Spurs this year, I will say that. The Sixers loss was 8 in a row for him. That's the first time that's happened in his tenure. So imagine that, 20 years, never losing 8 in a row. I think what the heck was the Sixers? 27 straight? 29 straight? Or whatever it was. They won 10 games that one year. They lost 30 in a row. Pop lost 8 in a row for the first time in 20 years, so life must be so difficult for you, Greg. Oh, how do you cope with such negativity? I don't know how you do it. Just unbelievable down there. But I wrote down once again here, Ennis shooting the ball well once again. He's turning it up off the bench, and they need that because it was Harris, Korkmaz, and Ennis this time went 10 of 6. Oh, 10 of 6. That'd be really good if you could go 10 of 6 from downtown. They should figure out how to work that one. But 10 of 16 from deep, so obviously shooting almost 2 out of 3, 60%. That'll win you some ball games right there. But Al Horford, he had a strong showing. Embiid got a little bit of foul trouble. Horford stepped up for him, kind of took over things there. They crushed the Heat. Jimmy Butler came to town. Boo! That's all you heard all night. Boo! I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like, why are we booing him so hard? What did he do? He pissed you off? He didn't want to sign here? He wanted to be with the Heat? Yeah. You know what, guys? He earned the right to go where he wants to go. He worked his tail off. He busted his butt. If he wants to go to South Beach, go to South Beach. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not from Philadelphia and you're kind of going Philly, South Beach. Philly, I mean, I don't know. You know, the riverfront down there. You got Morgan's Pier. That's a pretty cool place. And we got South Beach. We got nightclubs right on the beach with the beautiful women. You know, or we got Camden. That's where the practice facility is. I do enjoy Camden, you know, or I could just go to the Clevelander. Right? I mean, what are we talking about? There's really no comparison. If you're just a guy from, you know, random, I mean, I don't know where Jimmy's from. He went to Marquette. I think he's a Chicago kid, but that's probably Dwayne Wade I'm thinking of. But either way, not being a Philly kid, I get it, dude. It's cool. Yeah, oh, he doesn't want to win a title. Oh, he doesn't want to do this. Yeah, but, you know, he's a human being. I feel like he just doesn't want to walk out here in the snow and he'd rather go play dominoes on South Beach. Like, dude, really? You're going to kill the guy? But you boo him. It's Philly. It's what we do. You don't want to be here. We don't want you here. F you. Ho, ho, ho. It's fun. But, you know, boo him. Do your thing. You paid money. I don't care. I'm not saying you can't boo. I'm just saying every time he touched the ball, to me, was a little bit much. I certainly would have booed in the intros and the whatnot, but the guy did play hard for us. You know, it's not like he dogged it and quit on us or what. He was our best player in the playoffs. So if you're mad at him, it's because you think he's quitting on us, you know, not on the team itself, so to speak. But Jason Richardson, the guy they traded him for, you think he was motivated for what was going on here? Because he popped in 32, went 6 of 9 from downtown, or 6 of 7, I think it is, if I can read my own handwriting. Embiid had a strong game, but Butler, obviously the booze got to him. He had like 11 points. He shot like crap. It was beautiful to see. He didn't even play the fourth quarter. But last night, the Sixers, man, you want to get excited. They had won 3 in a row, all at home. Hey, we're 7-0 at home. We still can't win on the road. We talked about that last week. We're 7-0 now, 4-6 on the road. WTF, Brett? You know, figure that one out. What's going on? Maybe set a different, nighttime or something. Let them stay out. I don't know. Just do something different, man. You're 4-6. But they lost in Toronto. They lost in Toronto, 101-96. And Embiid didn't score a point. Dylan, you had as many points last night in Toronto as Embiid did. So how does that happen? The guy's a superstar. He's 7 feet tall. Get a rebound. Put in a layup. What are we talking about here? I get Marc Gasol gives him a lot of trouble, and he does. He beat him up last year in the playoffs, too. But 0 for 11, 4 turnovers, 5 fouls. Dude, you should have just stayed on the bus. What the heck is that, man? I don't know. So with all that being said, though, it took a 10-0 run by the Raptors at the end of the game to win it. The Sixers were up 96-91 and blew this game late. And that's the one thing that, still causes me some concern and some pause moving forward. Is this team hasn't figured out how to win games yet. And it's a new team every year. And that's the one thing that the Sixers have done. There hasn't been any consistency year to year or even half a year to half a year. They keep making these moves at the deadline, bringing guys in, shipping guys out. So literally every 3 months, it's a new squad. And you really can't learn how to win as a team if it's not the same team. You're just starting over. I mean, you start over, that's tough. But, and kind of compounding that real quickly before we transition here to the Flyers is doing some research on the starting 5 for the Sixers, because we've had Simmons with an injury. We had Embiid get suspended and then sit out for load management. We had Jason Richardson miss a couple of games there because of a shoulder. Al Horford's been up and down. He's getting older. The old load management coming into play for Al Horford. But 16 games, the starting 5 has been let me read it. Let's see here. The Sixers have played 16 games, and only 5 the starters have made their entire way through. Now listen to this, though. They got a net rating of 29.4, which essentially takes your offensive efficiency and your defensive efficiency. The difference, the bigger the number, the better. Obviously, good at offense, good at defense. Big number, makes sense. 29.4 would be the highest. The highest right now is just under 10 as a team across the board. Now, the Sixers as a team, again, not like everybody. They're down. They're like 4 or 5. But just the starting 5 in their minutes are crazy, crazy high. Now, a lot of this has to do with, I told you there were 5 games. Well, one of the games was the Miami Heat on Saturday. They outscored the Miami starters 90-33 in that game. So plus 56 will do a lot to increase the net rating. So a little bit of an outlier there, but still, they're number 1 in defensive rating. We'll say that. So wherever the offense is, the defense is number 1. So it's certainly going to be positive. So with that said, when the starters play, they're very good. They just haven't played, which means they don't have the rhythm. They don't have everything. They need to play more. And I'll give it till after the new year until I start harping and complaining on Brett to do that more. But 4 games this week for the Sixers. They don't pause at all for the holiday. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. Kings, Knicks, Pacers, Jazz. Got to be a 3-1 week, just like last week, although that was a little bit of a disappointment, obviously, how they lost in Toronto. Overall, though, strong week. I guess just keep winning at home. Sooner or later, you got to figure it out on the road, though. But similar with the Flyers. We'll wrap up the last 5 minutes or so here talking Flyers real quick this past week. They went 1-3, so a little bit of the opposite here. They lost to the Panthers last Tuesday. We talked about Morgan Frost getting called up. Well, he scored in his first game, and it was a beauty. He would deke the guy in front, backhand, rooftop, bar down. It was fantastic. Oh, man, just the hand-eye, the skills there, the dangles. Whoo, he's going to be fun to watch. But on the flip side, Carter Hart, he gets pulled again. This kid gets pulled once a week. It's common theme now. Like, he's either going to play well or you're going to pull him. There's no in between. I don't understand. It's a little bit frustrating, but he'll figure it out. So the Sixers had lost 4 in a row after that. Obviously, Brian Elliott went the next game against the Hurricanes where they bounced back and they won 5-3. Frost had another goal, so he had 2 goals in 2 games. There was a stat or a post I put out there. He's number 1 in NHL history in goals per game average at 1 because even Wayne Gretzky and Claude Lemieux are like 0.8 or 0.9 or something like that, which is insane over hundreds of games, but still. Giroux, TK, and Frost, that line was fantastic. It was a great comeback win because the Fly Guys were down 2-0 in the first. I thought they were going to fold. They had lost 4 in a row. They're down 2-0. Now this goalie stinks. We just pulled our goalie last week. What the heck are we going to do? Well, they figured it out, man. They turned it on. So big ups to Coach AV. Big ups to Giroux, TK, Couturier, keeping the crew going, keeping them marching forward here because that was a quality comeback against a team that they really needed to win against, Carolina, who's currently 3rd in the Metro. So no slouch there. No slouch at all. But the next game, the Flyers do the opposite. They get a nice lead, a late lead. They're up 2-1 in the Flames. Late in the third, all of a sudden, they pull the goalie. They purposely shoot it wide, bounces right to the guy. Boom, slam dunk, tie it up. The Flyers lose in a shootout. 3-2 to the Flames. 5th loss in 6 games. Voracek, Hayes, they scored. Carter Hart bounced back, like I said. Even that last goal really wasn't his fault. It was just a bounce off the boards that went their way. If it kicks another direction, he's good and he's getting the win. But last night, bounced back, beat the Canucks 2-1. Couturier, Voracek scores again. Voracek finally turning things on here. He had a nice quote. He has to get back to the blank attitude. The first word starts with an F. The next one is YOU. Attitude because he's been lacking confidence, and that's what he literally said that to the guy. I was like, "Oh snap, Jake, what's good, dude? Tell him how you feel." But I'm down with it, man, because I'm sick of your crap playing soft. Get in there, like you don't stink, man. Stop playing like it. Like somebody needs to get up your bum here, light a fire, get you going here. So I think it's finally happened for him. But Carter Hart strong once again. The only other thing to mention here is Shane Gostisbehere. Healthy scratch the last 2 games. And they paid him a decent contract. It's not super high. It's something you can move, but he's been good in the past, and this year, not so much, man. Not so much. He hasn't scored a goal in a month. I wrote here October 26th. Ooh, and he's -5 on the year. So you can certainly see why Coach put him in the press box, to watch the game from above, to kind of slow things down. Maybe you can find your way there. But that's a guy they're going to need if they're really going to take that next step and not just, hey, we're going to make the playoffs, but ultimately compete and move in the playoffs. You're going to need people of that skill set who can move the puck, score offensively, make people miss from the defensive position. You're going to need all of the above with Shane Gostisbehere because Robert Hagg isn't going to do it in the postseason against these teams who are going to be flying by him. The speed alone. Ghost can actually stay with these guys. These other guys can't. But JVR, he's getting less and less ice time. I just made a little note there because that was the first time, hey, he's getting a lot of money. He's not scoring. They're sending him down. Frost has been fantastic. Farabee, the kids are here. The kids are good, and they're not going anywhere. So I'm excited about that. But Flyers got points in 10 out of 12 in the month of November. They got 1 or 2 more coming up here, so we're not done. But that's a fantastic month, really, when you look at it. Now they're 6-2-4, so they got 4 shootout and or overtime losses. But points nonetheless. That's a stupid rule, but since we're coming up on the hour, I don't have time to get into how I'm going to fix the NHL and the rules. I got into that on the podcast on the side. You guys should check it out. It's pretty good. But the last 2 years, the Flyers were in last place in the division when it became Turkey Day, when we all gathered around to gobble. And now they're in 4th. So not last, in the playoffs. Yeah, I can't complain with that. We're in the playoffs come Thanksgiving, not last place going, what the heck are we going to do? Who we trade and fire the coach, fire the GM, all of the above. We're actually talking about what we can do on the ice to improve as a hockey club. So that's a nice conversation to finally have. But 3 games for them between now and next Tuesday. We got Wednesday at Columbus, Friday versus Detroit, Saturday at Montreal, a back-to-back there, Friday, Saturday. I look for maybe Carter Hart to play at Montreal, the Canadian kid going home against his idol, Carey Price, up in Montreal. I think they may want to dress him for that one, let Brian Elliott take the home game. So we'll see. We'll see how they continue through here. Like I said, playoff position, both the Sixers and Flyers. So we're middling through here. Winter sports, we're not kind of dominating like we anticipated on the hardwood. The Flyers are doing okay. Overall, can't complain like in the NFL and the Birds, because if I had another hour, we can complain a heck of a lot more here. But once again, everybody, I appreciate y'all listening out there. We're just about 2 o'clock here, Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I just want to say thanks once again to everybody listening out there. Thanks to everybody here at Usula Media, Usula Radio, Dylan behind the scenes, working the board, working the screen, making sure I sound good for you guys out there. Leslie and the general manager, everybody else. Hopefully you guys out there have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Get with your families, get some time off. Don't work too hard on Wednesday or Friday if you have to or you must. But in the meantime, do me a favor, do us a favor, head to all the social media, give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe, all of the above. That way you can get all the content you guys want, and we can continue to keep you entertained here at Usula Media. But that's it for my time today here, 2 o'clock now. This is Too Close to Call, 2Close2Call Sports Talk Radio, Usula Media. I appreciate y'all listening once again. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. I'm Kevin Mahalik. We'll see you guys then. Peace.